In this one, Alex and I get into first world problems. I ask Alex, dude, what does your support system look like? How do you keep everything together in your insane schedule? And how hard is it to fly around the world as much as you do? We really do get into first world problems, but I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation as a traveler myself, and I hope that you do as well. Talk to y'all soon.
The next thing I want to talk about is your freaking schedule, man. Like, you fly for DRL, for MultiGP, you fly for Rotor Riot. How many other things do you do?
And I fly real airplanes.
Right.
And do filming stuff now. Man, whew, my schedule's really, really rough. But I love it. It keeps me busy. But for example, we're doing this interview. This is the 4th day I've been home. I think I was chatting with my mom about the 4th or 5th day I've been home in the last 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
I've been just in and out like crazy, and people wonder whether I even live here anymore. It's right. She asked, like, do you live here? I'm like, I don't know. But you know, my schedule's busy. You know, DRL is done for the season, but we still have DRL events. Like we just did an event in Singapore. There's the AIRR, artificial intelligence races that are happening that we go to as either safety pilots or there as, you know, guest stars or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we still have a season that's about to come up again. So there's the training involved with that. Then we have multi-GP. I've been getting into the filming side of things recently. And then we're making Road Riot episodes. So it's a crazy schedule, man. I'm usually gone at least 75% of the month from home. But December and January, besides a few trips, which these trips are just like personal trips with like family and friends and stuff like that, I'm home. So that's great.
What does your daily schedule look like? How do you keep everything straight?
So I have a great app called Google Calendar, right? And I am not sponsored by Google Calendar, but listen, I needed something that was super easy to like type in events, and like I like stuff that's in color.
Right. Yeah.
So like I mark all my DRL events as red and multi-GP as blue, and then there's like all these categories, right? And I just you know, I get notifications on my phone every morning at 8 in the morning when it tells me what if they have anything that day. It tells me what's there in the week, and I'm able to pull it up. And the moment I have an event come up, I always for the last few months made it a promise to myself to go put it in my calendar immediately, whether it's an interview that I have coming up in a week or if it's a race coming up in 2 weeks. That way it's all there. And it is kind of scary, like the whole month of October, November, looking back at my calendar right now, it's just all colors. It's just like there's no days where I'm home. So
do you color in? Do you put in things like practice time and?
I usually don't. But what I will do, like when I trained with Fluxy and Nub this summer, was I've marked out 2 weeks of like training with Fluxy and Nub. And then usually any time that's like white where nothing's marked out, then that's usually my training time. Which for national, I did actually. Okay, you're actually right. I marked off the week before nationals as my training time. I did mark that off. I was like, I'm not going to do events before this. So you are kind of right, but I usually don't mark off train time unless it's like right before a big event. Okay.
So, I mean, with as much as you do, with as much flying as you do, all the places you go, you're talking about being home for 4 or 5 days out of 6 months or 6 weeks. Sorry.
6 weeks. Oof.
Yeah. 6 weeks, 6 weeks. What is the support system behind you like? Like who is there keeping things like while you're gone? Like I know your quads don't build themselves, and I know that there's certain things that don't happen without help. So who's helping you?
One of the big guys, you know, it's funny, I'm going to put this guy before my mom. Of course, my mom, I guess, you know, right? I mean, I live at home, but we have like an upstairs and a downstairs, so like I'm upstairs. So I have kind of my own place, and I don't really have much in my room besides just pictures and stuff, so like it takes care of itself. But Bob Mazza, most people now kind of know him in the hobby if they've been around me at races. He's always there at the big events. He's another big reason I got into RC. I got my first plane from him, from his hobby store. He's in Wisconsin, which is where I'm usually at in the summer, staying with him and doing some part-time work, which is more just like play. And then, you know, and that's doing the drone thing. But he's, before all the big events, building my quads. So I'll have all the gear sent to him most of the time. I still enjoy building, actually. Like, and for me, I enjoy building more these days just because it's something to do when I'm home to kind of keep me occupied. And I enjoy, especially when it's a new motor, new quad or something, I want to be there to build it. But he does all the building for my racing quads and everything. He's much more immaculate than I am. And so I have him, and then at big events and even here at home, I have Justin Skinner and I live like 30 minutes away from each other. So we try to train as much as we can. I love Justin. I love just hanging out with him. It's fun. I feel like I can actually like get in his head a little bit, like while we're flying. Not like not even really in a competitive way, just in a way to piss him off a little bit. Like I'll just say little things here and there. Like if he's there sitting, he'll bring his like little umbrella chair and everything to come fly with me. It looks so stupid. And he'll be there moaning and whining about a quad, and he'll say something like, "Oh, I'm so frustrated," and then I'll be in the background like, "Oh, I'm so frustrated." It's stuff like that, just to get and just to antagonize him a little bit. But I have a very limited amount of people who really are there to support me. I of course have my amazing sponsors and my friends and everything like that, but the people really closest to me, those are my supporters. And Justin's wife too, I don't want to forget her, because she's always booking Airbnbs and taking that side of things, or bringing food out to practice and stuff like that. Even helping change props where she can here and there. I mean, I have a great team behind me, really, at the end of the day. And looking at things, gosh, I don't know what I would do without my team. And these are people that just really in the last year have kind of come around to support me. And those are the people at the end of the day, win or lose, are going to be there no matter what. And that's part of what keeps me going, is those people who are behind me and believe in me.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of traveling. And there was my wife here with our 3 kids, but I was gone, at least 1 week out of the month, and sometimes 3 weeks out of the month. Do you ever get burnout, tired of it?
Yeah, right now, it's like we're recording this.
Yeah,
I had one of my friends asked me, "Hey, we came to hang out." It's like, "Hey, you gonna put up gates?" I'm like, "No." It's just like no, I really don't want to. I really don't want to do that right now. I've been doing a lot of simming, actually. It's keeping me going. But man, we had the whole DRL season through the summer, and then I had after DRL was over, and I'd literally been flying hundreds of barriers a day. I'm like, okay, now we have multi-GP, and I wasn't even thinking about being burned out this entire time. And then I just immediately had to relearn how to fly 5-inch quad and all this, and just go 5 weeks ham, go to Korea for a race and the nationals. Then I came back from nationals and flew straight to Singapore for another DRL event, and I'm home now. And the last thing I really want to do right now, at least for a few more days, is go put up gates and fly, just because this has been a very much needed break. Most people only fly a few times a week. I fly every day. Yeah. And so for me, this is, I'm a little burned out, not going to lie. But I'm not necessarily burned out from drone racing, like I'm doing the simulator. I think I'm just burned out from setting up tracks, repairing quads, changing props, destroying batteries, and just going on and on and on. And it's, that comes with any race, win or lose. It's hard. It's really hard to keep going. But you know what? I'll bounce back in a week. I'll have this much needed break, and we'll go at it again.
Okay. I know for me, so my company was out in San Francisco, and I travel out to San Francisco all the time. And there was one day I was out in San Francisco, and I was like miserable. And I was like, you are in one of the greatest cities in the world, and all you can think about is that you just want to be home.
Yep.
Like, screw this place. I just want to be home. And I just stopped for a moment of self-reflection. I was like, why is that? And then I realized I'd been to San Francisco like 50 times. It was like, oh, okay. And like, to this, I mean, nowadays being on airplanes is just like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody loves being on airplanes, but it definitely, I burn out on travel pretty hard. So
I like being in airplanes. Like, I told myself I need to start flying. I have a pilot's license for anyone who doesn't know. I need to start flying myself to races, because I just hate getting on airplanes these days. And this sounds so like first world problems, but if I'm not flying first class,
absolutely,
like, I don't want to be on that airplane. I don't want to feel like I don't want to, and part of that's the airlines suck. But you know, I don't want to feel like I'm cattle when I get on an airplane. Like, I want to feel like I flew, just tiny rant, I flew on United like 5 times in the last month, just because when I went to Korea and back, I went from Chicago to San Francisco and then to Korea and back. And Bob and I went with, you know, Team USA. United was the absolute worst experience I've ever had flying on an airplane in terms of service and everything. But when I came back from Korea, because our flight was 13 hours late, which it wasn't weather, it was because the crew timed out and everything like that. It was a union thing, right? Love those. I got an upgrade to first class because there's like no one on the airplane, right? There's no one. And that 9-hour flight from Seoul back to San Francisco on first class was actually the best flying experience I ever had on any airline. I felt like a king, and I'm thinking like 20 feet behind me, people are getting treated like peasants, and I'm up here treated like a king. Because money. I'm like, I hate flying airlines.
And United, and I will say this: United first class is one of the best.
Polar business or whatever. Whatever.
It just, all I know is I've flown it a few times. And like, you know, they've got the lay down seats, you've got your own TV with a remote, and and this was only on a domestic, so I can't even imagine what it would be like on a international.
I've been very blessed with my American status to get to fly internationally first class on American, and it's a wonderful experience. But the bedding on the United international flight, like, they give you tons of it. So on top, you don't feel like you're in a seat, you feel like you're sitting on your bed at home. It's so it's so off topic now, but I get burned out of traveling on airplanes, man. Especially when it's just over and over in these overseas flights and everything, you can never recover from jet lag. You just never recover from it. By the time you adjust, you're gone again.
I mean, that's true. I got really good at dealing with jet lag. I find that going west is harder than going east for me.
Interesting.
But I'm sorry. I find that going east is harder than going west.
That's same for me. I was gonna say, wow, interesting.
I can typically go west, and it's just like, all it is just like drink a bunch of coffee and stay up, and you can typically recover. My family and I, a couple years ago, we went to Hawaii, and we were there for 2 weeks, so we were totally acclimated to the time zone. We come back, and it's basically just one massive red eye the whole way back. And I told my kids and I told my wife, I was like, when we get home, because we got home in the morning, I was like, you cannot fall asleep. I was like, you have to stay awake. And I immediately went upstairs to work, and because I work from home, or I did at the time, and I came back downstairs around noon to get some lunch, and I was like, it's really quiet. And I walked into the living room, and my wife and all 3 of my kids were dead asleep on the couch. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be so bad. And it literally took them a week to recover. It's just so brutal. So jet lag is a real thing. I feel for Thomas. So
100%. Especially coming from Australia. I take back kind of a little bit what I said actually in that earlier interview. I forget he's literally coming from the farthest place away in this world.
I think the longest leg is like Dallas to Sydney.
Dallas to Sydney, or London to Sydney, probably.
Something like that.
Something ridiculous like that.
Anyways, we're so far off topic at this point.
Way off topic.
But I mean, that's true though. Like there's a real aspect to this, which is like, in order for you to do what you need to do, you have to travel. And there are things that come with traveling that, like, it sounds like a first world problem, and it sounds like, dude, I'm on an airplane all the time, this is awesome, but like, it really does wear you down. So
100%.
And until you've experienced it, it's hard to understand. So
I have my friends tell me all the time, like, you're not super excited to be in Singapore for 9 days. I'm like, well, I was excited the first 5 days, and then I'm ready to get home. That's anywhere I go. There's very few places otherwise. It's like, I've been here like 5 times. Not Singapore, but like Orlando, ton.
I went to London. The first time I went to London, I had been there for 8 days. And I remember I was in this beautiful section of the city. I still don't remember what it was. My coworkers treated me like a king. I got to take a bike ride around the city and see all the sights, which I know when I'm traveling for work, I normally don't get to see the sights. And I was walking through this gorgeous section of London, and all I wanted was a freaking bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
Right.
I mean, no offense to the British, but it's not American food. And I could go in and I could get something almost like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, but not a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
Yeah. I know that, man.
It's just like, there's just so much. There's only so much different things that you could take at one time when all of a sudden you're like, I just want a burger.
That's the funny, like when I go to Korea and I was living there, I got used to it, but like when I just went back this last time and they were like giving us these lunch boxes or whatever, I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, what I would kill right now for just, and I don't eat fast food really, but I'm like, what I would kill for Wendy's right now. Like what I would do right now to get some Wendy's or some pizza or just something. I mean, this is a whole topic itself with how we're both uncultured because we don't appreciate it when we're international. But it's America's a great country, everyone. It's a great country to live in.
It is. You're really very true.
I once had a friend and a mentor tell me that when he was in his 30s and some bigwig in, I don't even know what he was in, he vowed that he would never fly anything but first class ever again. That turned out to be hubris, and he ended up flying economy on government contracts quite often later in his life. Good guy. I really like him. I vowed that I would never make the vow that I would only fly first class. It is, I don't know if you've ever flown first class. It's amazing. And it does make you realize that being in the back of the plane, it's like cattle, man. I mean, they just make the seats smaller and smaller. But at the end of the day, that is truly a first world problem. And I think that you should hear the heart of what both Alex and I are saying. We're very grateful for the places we get to go, the people we get to see, the things that we get to do. But at the end of the day, there is quite literally no place like home. I'd like to thank my patrons. They're awesome. They're good. They're amazing. I love their support. If you like what I do and you would like to support me and you'd like to get a podcast, then link in the description below. There's also a link to Alex's YouTube, which you're probably subscribed to already. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, do all those YouTube-y things. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.